What's up, guys? It's Scootman5000 back for another action figure review. Today we're back for another McFarlane DC. Keeping this train rolling. We got so many figures to go over. Let's start out with some basics. We got Batman from Batman Hush, and we got Knightfall Catwoman. I put these two together. They're both pretty standard looks, you could say. With Batman, it's that classic Jim Lee blue and gray, and it looks awesome. Can't wait to get that one open. So let's not stand on ceremony. Let's open these up and take a look. And here's Batman out of the packaging. And for accessories, I'll show the trading cards. Also, there's the display stand. Some nice artwork selections here. Then we got two Batarangs. These are the same from the Batman vs. Hush 2-pack. And then we do get a pair of fists. And on one side, we do have the famous Kryptonite ring. So overall, just looking at him first, really classy looking design here. The one figure I forgot to pull out was actually the original Hush Batman, but just imagine this figure, but worse. But seriously, put it in the blue and the darker gray. This takes me right back. This is like 2005. Whenever Hush came out, it really did change Batman. And every toy and every media version of Batman looked like this. That black and yellow logo, and here was Jim Lee Batman. The blueprint, the standard for years to come. And also, because we're on this Hush Batman body, this thing is super tall. So when you start throwing in the Bat family, he's going to look awesome because he's going to tower over all of them. We'll go ahead, we'll start looking at some details here. And that head sculpt is great. And again, that original Batman Hush, not really a great figure, although it is a lot of the same. But I think the color choice, even if they took this one and made the blue parts black, the gray looks so much better, and the face especially. The original had that kind of gnarled expression. He was screaming. I think something was wrong with the way the teeth was painted, so not great. But when you get here, this is Jim Lee Batman. Put him at that profile, have him standing up on the gargoyle. That's how you do it right there. That's perfect. The chest emblem solid and clean like we usually get with McFarlane. And yeah, I really do like this gray tone here. Similar to the Vampire Batman, I think maybe a little bit brighter. We'll do that comparison. Classic yellow pouch belt. The cape is the same one as well from Vampire Bats and from the original Hush Batman. But I don't know, putting it in this blue, and it's a perfect blue, it's a dark, there's really a whole lot of good to say about this. The color choice especially just really knocks it out of the park. There's that Kryptonite ring. Interesting to note, the hands here have a unique kind of texture to them. That's something McFarlane likes to do. But for the default hands, they don't have that texture. Kind of interesting. I almost prefer this, and I think I'm going to keep the fists on anyway. Just think that's a really cool touch. And yeah, overall, he's simple, but he's effective. Hush Batman. This is the new standard. For his articulation, it's going to be the same as Vampire Batman. Hopefully we don't have another incident like we did the last time. The head and neck is one piece, and that's actually pretty decent for Batman. He looks down very good. So, not great, but you're not really doing that kind of pose with Batman. And then you just get a lot of attitude, a lot of side to side and rotation. Double ball, so you're going up that much. Down, not as much. Now I'm just going to tell you what's here, but I'm really not going to stress it. You got where the shoulder is, of course, you got that butterfly or facsimile of it. Let's go up, and it's going to go up even further. But again, not playing around here. Bicep, there you go. You see a little bit of movement. Let me go to this arm for the double elbow. I already broke this one in. The hand has the sculpted ball joint, goes in whatever direction you need. For the legs, they're going to split out almost all the way. Kick back, pretty decent. Kick forward, good as well. The double knee, and that's pretty good. Ball joint at the ankle, and this is still from kind of an older body, so it's not really sculpted in seamlessly, but it really isn't that bad. A little bit of ankle and a toe. For comparison, here he is with Vampire Batman, and I did glue that arm back in place, but thankfully it does rotate. And yeah, it was actually much darker for this one, but still similar kind of shade, or I don't know what to call it, but they picked some really awesome colors. And yeah, you could see pretty much the same, and you got two kick-ass figures right here. That original one, not so much, but what he gave birth to is two of the best. And this is really cool. Here's the cinematic Batman of the time, Christian Bale. You know, mid to late 2000s, this is Batman's identity right here. In the movies, in the comics. So if you're like me, you kind of came up around that time, this is a really cool setup right here. Of course, we got to throw him in with Hush Superman, and again, two of the best right here. This is just an awesome lineup. Superman almost is a little bit short next to him, but I don't really mind that. I hate when Batman is really short, so I'd almost rather it if he's the taller one. Here's the three Jokers. Batman, who's still just a hair taller, or maybe I'd just have him standing differently. I think these guys do share parts. The Hush Batman was kind of an evolution of three Jokers. But yeah, these are kind of your two different looks. You got the yellow symbol versus that symbol, capsule belt versus pouch belt. And here he is with the titular villain Hush. And you can see I made some modifications here. I didn't have this idea, I found it online. But what this is, you slice the jacket, and then you can't really do it anymore because he's such an expensive figure. But these are from Thomas Wayne. The belt, The little straps are on the legs here, and the guns, of course. And I think this really completes Hush. Totally knocks him out of the park. And these two side to side, this kicks that 2-pack's ass, because it has a worse Hush and a worse Batman. Here he is with Comedian Joker. I like how that looks. It's going to look pretty similar with the other Jokers in the DC Multiverse. Then rapid fire, we're going to do some Bat Family. Here he is with Nightwing, with Batgirl, Damian Wayne. Almost forgot about Tim. And finally Red Hood. And you know, Red Hood would come out shortly after Batman Hush. So pretty cool. Again, kind of that mid-2000s era of Batman represented right here. And then I have him out for our Knightfall figures, but here he is with Bane. And then up next, let's look at Knightfall Catwoman. And for accessories, we do get this gigantic whip, very soft plastic, but pretty much impractical to use in a display. This thing is like 2 feet long, all kinds of crazy shapes and angles to it. And then we do get an alternate set of hands with the big cat claws, and this is very 90s, very long fingers on here. I think that's what I'll be rocking in the display. And then we're left with Catwoman here, who's a elegant design just like that Hush Batman. We'll get to the elephant in the room in a second, but we'll start at the head here. And that looks pretty good. It looks like a 90s actress or something. I'm trying to place it, but that's right at home. That's probably what the artwork at the time was based on. And you could see the hair popping out with the blue highlights. And I should note too, we're also getting a platinum version of this Catwoman, very rarely seen, but it has been spotted a couple times. I saw it on Facebook. That's very animated series inspired, but the hair's still black. And honestly, if it's animated, it should have no hair. I did see somebody on that same Facebook group rip this hair out. It just kind of pegs in. Obviously, you can have a big gap back there, but it is possible. We get to the rest of the figure. There's not much to say. We got the shiny black for the long gloves and the long boots. It's a really nice effect against the matted purple jumpsuit. Again, the color choices here, really good. Sometimes with McFarlane, they've been doing these real bright colors, and it just makes it look like cheap plastic, especially on figures that don't have a lot of paint. But Hush Batman and now Catwoman here, great color selections. I can't stress that enough. Yeah, you do get a little bit of sculpted detail, kind of a zipper seam line down the torso here. And then, yeah, we get to the middle here, and Catwoman's definitely packing. She's got a bulge of some kind. And you even have these kind of bunches over here, almost accentuating it on the thigh pieces here. I think where you really start to notice it is if you're posing, if you're gapping up like that. I mean, yeah, that looks like what it looks like. But honestly, really not that bad. I mean, you stand her up, you don't really notice. And while we're on the subject, if we swing back here, honestly, not as defined as I would think, especially if we're in the 90s. These suits were basically painted on, so, you know, not as much definition as I would think. But it's in the back of the figure anyway. I'm not really complaining, but it is an observation. Otherwise, yeah, that's Catwoman. Again, another simple but effective design. For articulation, head's really not looking back at all because of the hair. I'm sure if you remove that, you get some range. Forward is alright, but the hair's going to fly up, and then the side to side might be a little limited too as a result. Getting that kind of butterfly situation going on. The shoulder goes up, shoulders going up, and a great cut at the bicep hidden by these long gloves. Double elbow goes across, everything you need it to do. Then a nice sculpted hinge at the hand here. Double ball in the torso, as always, looks back that much, forward that much. Doing all kinds of swivel. Nice splits, but you do get that unfortunate gapping. Kick back is blocked by the posterior, and then forward, not as bad. No thigh cut, even though you definitely could have had one here because of those boots. Double knee goes all the way back. Then a sculpted hinge at the ankle going back, forward, a little bit of ankle movement, and the tiniest of toe hinge on these high heels. And then for comparison, let's start out with the other proper Catwoman we have. I didn't dig out the Zoe Kravitz version. Here we are with Arkham City, which is actually very close to a Hush version of Catwoman. It was really, this was the design in the 90s. Hush came along, changed it to Catwoman that we know today. So really, this is a comparison I should have made. These two are going to work really nice together. You're going to have to wait for Knightfall Batman for this purple Catwoman. If you want to pair her with a Batman for now, here she is with the Three Jokers version. I think this works pretty well. In fact, the blue version of this guy from the 5-pack would actually look really nice, I think. And since we are doing Knightfall, here she is with Azbat. I just noticed he's got a crooked ear over here because he's been in storage. But not a bad lineup. And again, I can't wait to get that Knightfall Batman from McFarlane. You can throw her in with the Joker if you're trying to build her out with the Batman Rogues. Some nice classic options here. Doing some Gotham City Sirens. Here she is with Batgirl. And then finally, here she is with the Knightfall Bane. And that is going to do it for Hush Batman and Knightfall Catwoman. Two iconic kind of staple designs for the characters. And I've kind of said it before, you know, how many Batmans do you really get? That's always a common complaint with McFarlane. Is there part of me that feels like an asshole spending $20 on every single Batman? Maybe a little, but I'm not fully there yet. Every Batman seems to be an improvement on the last one. As for Catwoman, 100% we needed this figure. I love that gray version too. I definitely got to try to track that down. And I think the next step is a Jim Lee style Catwoman, a Hush Catwoman, to go with this Batman proper, with the black cat suit, the goggles up top. But for right now, I'm very satisfied with these two. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some figure photography. You can check that out on my Instagram and my Twitter as well. Want to check out my second channel? Got a Shazam 2 review coming up. And I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.